Hey Bougie click. We need to talk about the elephant in every black space, how internalized racism has us doing white supremacy's work for free. The misogynoir, the self-sabotage, the way we police each other harder than any system ever could. This isn't about blame, it's about breaking the cycle that has us tearing down our own while the real oppressors watch and laugh. If you're not ready to confront how deep this programming goes and do the uncomfortable work of deprogramming, keep scrolling. But if you're ready to stop being complicit in our own destruction, hit subscribe and let's get into it.
I'ma make you a fan.
When we become our own worst enemy, how black people perpetuate stereotypes. We spend so much time rightfully calling out external racism that we've developed a blind spot to the poison we sometimes serve ourselves. Internalized racism is the acceptance of negative stereotypes about one's own racial group, and it is linked to psychological distress, poorer identity formation, and harmful behaviors across the lifespan. Stereotypes like the angry black woman or the loud black woman are not abstract insults. They are tools that get used inside the community to silence and shame black women for asserting themselves, and they are recycled by some black men and institutions to justify unequal treatment. The result, black women are criticized for behaviors that would be praised in others, and those criticisms often come from within the community itself. The profit and pain of misogynoir in the black community. The spectacle of black men performing misogynoir for white applause represents a particularly lucrative betrayal. These men discovered that white audiences will handsomely reward black male voices who confirm their suspicions about black women's supposed deficiencies: too loud, too angry, too independent, too difficult. The formula is consistent: position yourself as the rational black man burdened by irrational black women, sprinkle in some statistics stripped of context, add a dash of "I'm just being honest," and watch the platforms multiply. Podcasters build empires explaining why black women deserve their marginalization, comedians craft entire sets around black women's undesirability, and public intellectuals pen op-eds about black maternal failures while white supremacy takes notes. The transaction is grotesque in its transparency: throw black women under the bus, collect your speaking fees from audiences relieved to hear their prejudices validated by someone who shares a race with their targets. This external performance creates an internal market where black women learn to compete for approval by denouncing each other. The pick-me economy runs on black women publicly distancing themselves from stereotypes by projecting them onto other black women. "I'm not like those angry black women, I understand why men don't want drama, I'm feminine, not like these masculine women." The colorism embedded in these performances adds another layer, with proximity to whiteness, through skin tone, hair texture, or behavior, becoming currency in the validation marketplace. Women perform submission not to black men broadly, but specifically to those black men who have already demonstrated their anti-blackness, creating a race to the bottom where degradation becomes the price of desirability. The genius of this system lies in its self-perpetuation. Black men who've internalized white supremacist beauty standards demand black women perform white femininity, then ridicule them for failing to achieve it authentically. Black women, seeking love and validation in a world that denies both, contort themselves into increasingly impossible positions, straightening hair that's mocked for not moving right, adopting submissive postures that read as inauthentic, competing with white women by the very standards that ensure they'll lose. Meanwhile, those who profit most from this performance, the dating coaches, the relationship experts, the content creators, count their money while black love becomes a casualty of capitalism. The true cost of these performances extends far beyond individual betrayals. They fracture a community whose brilliance built nations while chained. We are the descendants of Benjamin Banneker's mathematical genius, Garrett Morgan's life-saving inventions, Katherine Johnson's calculations that sent humans to space, and Patricia Bath's laser surgery innovations. We created jazz, rock, hip-hop, entire art forms the world tries to claim. Yet this marketplace of self-hatred reduces us to the very caricatures our ancestors transcended. Blackness is not monolithic. We are not all ghetto, not all struggling, not all matching whatever limited imagination white supremacy or self-hating black people assign us. The bitter irony cuts deep: we are damned if we do and damned if we don't, trapped in a maze where every exit leads back to condemnation. Be ghetto and you deserve your mistreatment, you're the problem, the justification for every policy that keeps you down. Be conservative and accomplished? Now you're whitewashed, a sellout, trying to be white. Black women face this impossibility at every turn, mocked for wearing weaves as fake, then discriminated against for wearing the natural hair that grows from their heads, suspended from schools, denied jobs, told their God-given crowns are unprofessional. When Black excellence is erased and Black authenticity punished, when speaking proper English makes you a traitor but speaking AAVE makes you ignorant, what remains except performing dysfunction for profit? Children who could be the next Mae Jemison or Lonnie Johnson instead learn that validation flows only to those who confirm stereotypes rather than shatter them, but shattering stereotypes just creates new accusations of abandoning your people. The result is precisely what white supremacy designed, a people too fractured to build on their legacy of genius, too exhausted from navigating impossible binds to unite, too busy defending every choice to remember they descend from royalty, inventors, and scholars. The system barely needs to oppress directly anymore, it simply ensures that every expression of Blackness is wrong, then rewards those willing to police these impossible standards for the copper coins of white approval. You know what's wild about this whole dynamic? It's literally designed to make solidarity impossible. When every choice makes you a target from somebody. When Black excellence turns into Black betrayal. In 2020, Dr. Jackie Walters from Married to Medicine, a Black OBGYN with over 20 years of experience, sat on Dr. Heavenly's podcast and said Black pregnant women cry wolf about their pain. Let that sink in. A Black female doctor, chosen by Vice President Kamala Harris to help combat maternal mortality, suggested that Black women are a bit more dramatic and complain too much during pregnancy. The statistics make this betrayal even more disgusting. Black women die at rates 3.5 times higher than white women during childbirth, 50 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2023. If trends continue, that rate could hit 94 deaths per 100,000 by 2040. Yet here's Dr. Jackie, with all her degrees and accolades, perpetuating the exact stereotype that gets Black women ignored in delivery rooms. When she finally apologized after massive backlash, she claimed her words were taken out of context. But sis, there's no context that makes telling Black women they're too dramatic about potentially fatal pain acceptable. This is what internalized racism dressed in a white coat looks like. Dr. Jackie issued an apology and said she was moved to do better, but the episode illustrates how even respected Black professionals can repeat harmful tropes that undermine Black women's health and credibility. When a Black doctor reinforces the stereotype that Black women exaggerate pain, she validates every nurse who ignores a Black woman bleeding out. She co-signs every delayed intervention. She contributes to those deaths. Even in the UK, Black women are 5 times more likely to die in pregnancy than white women. This isn't an American problem, it's a global anti-Black woman problem. Wherever Western medicine exists, Black women die at higher rates from the same treatable conditions. When stereotypes kill, the deadly cost of medical racism. The 2025 data is damning. Black women die at a rate 3.5 times higher than white women around the time of childbirth. That's 50 deaths per 100,000 live births for Black women compared to approximately 14 for white women. But here's the kicker, if current trends continue, that rate could hit 94 deaths per 100,000 by 2040. We're heading backward, not forward. Over 80% of these deaths are preventable. Let that sink in. These aren't unavoidable tragedies, they're the direct result of a medical system that doesn't believe Black women when we say something's wrong. When excellence can't save you. Dr. Bayo Curry-Winchell's story. Here's a Black female physician, a medical director with a hospital badge and access to the best care, who nearly died after her C-section in 2016. She told her nurse she felt dizzy with stomach pain. The response? Bayo, you look fine. Everything looks fine. She wasn't fine. She was bleeding internally. Only her direct call to her OBGYN saved her life. As she said, I had the most access in the world, and it didn't save my life. It allowed the dismissal to happen. If a Black female doctor with every advantage can't get believed, what chance do the rest of us have? The Kira Johnson tragedy, when 17 minutes equals death. Kira Dixon Johnson walked into Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, one of the most prestigious hospitals in Los Angeles, as a healthy 39-year-old for a routine C-section in 2016. Her surgery took just 17 minutes. She never left alive. For over 10 hours after her C-section, Kira bled internally while her husband Charles begged for help. Staff dismissed concerns about her catheter filling with blood. They ignored signs of hemorrhaging. By the time they took her back to surgery, it was too late. She left behind a newborn and a 19-month-old. The lawsuit revealed something even more sinister. During depositions, evidence showed a pattern of disparate treatment for Black women at Cedars-Sinai. The federal government launched a civil rights investigation into the hospital's treatment of Black mothers. Charles Johnson's wrongful death lawsuit explicitly cited a culture of racism at the hospital. Beyond maternal mortality. While childbirth deaths grab headlines, medical malpractice kills Black women across all health contexts. We're less likely to receive pain medication for the same conditions. Get referred to specialists when needed. Have our symptoms taken seriously. Receive timely intervention in emergencies. Get the same quality of care even with identical insurance. The stereotype of the strong Black woman who can handle pain literally costs lives. The assumption that we're dramatic means real emergencies get dismissed as performance. The gender war that makes white supremacy smile. The specific cruelty Black men reserve for Black women reveals how thoroughly white supremacist beauty standards and patriarchal violence have been internalized and weaponized. Watch how quickly preference becomes punishment. Black men who loudly proclaim their desire for exotic women don't simply date elsewhere, they build entire platforms explaining why Black women deserve abandonment. The statistics tell the story white supremacy loves to hide. Black women are the least protected group in America, murdered at rates that should spark national emergency, yet Black male voices are more likely to trend discussing why Black women are difficult than demanding justice for their deaths. The betrayal runs deeper than individual choices. When Black men rate Black women as least desirable in studies, mock Black features they themselves carry, demand submission while offering no provision, or film themselves humiliating Black women for viral content, they perform white supremacy's work with an intimacy white racism could never achieve. They know exactly which wounds hurt most. The hair that won't grow past shoulders becomes bald-headed, the strength that survived slavery becomes masculine, the education fought for becomes thinking you're better. Most devastating is the protection withheld. The same men who demand loyalty provide none, leaving Black women to defend themselves against a world that hates them while fighting off attacks from those who should be their first line of defense. White supremacy doesn't need to work hard when Black men volunteer as foot soldiers, using their proximity to break the women who birth them, raise them, and too often bury them. Some Black men love to paint Black women as loud and aggressive while putting other races on pedestals for being more submissive. Yet when we pull the receipts, what do we find? Take Courtney Clenny, the white OnlyFans model who stabbed her Black boyfriend Christian Albumsley to death in 2022. Audio recordings revealed she repeatedly called him the N-word, screamed at him to man up B-word, and threatened to slap him. In one recording, she's furious he greeted another woman during a bike ride. This is the submissive energy they're chasing? The cognitive dissonance is astronomical. These men will ignore documented cases of non-Black women literally unaliving their Black partners while calling them racial slurs, yet still perpetuate the narrative that Black women are the problem. Unveiling the dark side of online misogyny and racism. The most insidious form of internalized racism comes wrapped in preferences and standards. Enter the Red Pill podcast industrial complex, where Black men have built entire platforms dedicated to tearing down Black women while pedestalizing everyone else. The Kevin Samuels effect. Before his death in 2022, Kevin Samuels amassed 1.45 million YouTube subscribers by calling Black women average at best, telling a successful Black businesswoman making six figures that she should lower her standards because she's 35 with a child. His signature move? Rating Black women's market value like cattle at auction while wearing designer suits to give his misogynoir a veneer of respectability. Fresh and Amp, Fitz Degradation Olympics, Myron Gaines and Walter Weeks took the hatred to new levels. Their podcast, with nearly 1.5 million subscribers despite YouTube demonetization for violations, literally puts women in headlocks and calls them racial slurs. In November 2024, clips went viral of them attacking singer Nia McKenzie, with Gaines putting her in a physical headlock while screaming, "You stupid N-word." Yet these same men praise non-black women as feminine and cooperative. The double standard playbook. Black men in these spaces criticize black women for having standards. When a black woman wants a partner who matches her success, she's delusional. When a white woman wants the same, she knows her worth. Fashion choices. Black women wearing designer clothes are materialistic and high maintenance. Non-black women in the same outfits are classy and take care of themselves. Being assertive. Black women standing up for themselves are masculine and argumentative. When Latina or white women show the same energy, it's spicy or passionate. Career success. Successful black women are intimidating and need to let a man be a man. Successful non-black women are ambitious and driven. Natural features. Our curves are too much on us but exotic on others. Our full lips are too big on us but worth thousands in filler for them. The Passport Brothers phenomenon. The ultimate manifestation of this self-hatred? The Passport Brothers movement, black men who explicitly travel overseas to find submissive women because black women are allegedly too difficult. They create entire YouTube channels documenting their sex tourism, claiming women in Colombia, Thailand, or Eastern Europe are more feminine than black women. But here's what they don't tell you in their videos. They're often targeting economically vulnerable women. Language barriers hide the same attitudes they claim to flee. Many return broke after being finessed by women who saw them coming. The submission they're buying is transactional, not cultural. Meanwhile, the same men who call us difficult. Black men marry interracially at higher rates than black women, while simultaneously criticizing black women who date outside their race. Build platforms that white supremacists literally quote. Create content that gets used to justify discrimination against all black people. The ultimate betrayal. What makes this particularly vicious is how these platforms give cover to broader anti-black racism. These men have monetized misogynoir so effectively that YouTube channels dedicated to hating black women generate millions in revenue. They've created an ecosystem where degrading black women is literally profitable. And the women they claim are better? They're laughing all the way to the bank while these passport bros pay for their company. The saddest part? Many of these men are projecting their own inadequacies. They can't handle a woman who matches or exceeds their success, so they seek economically disadvantaged women who need them for survival. As one critic noted, rather than simply getting their little passports stamped while enjoying foreign women, it seems one of the top goals is to denigrate black women in the process. White supremacy doesn't need to work overtime when black men are doing the heavy lifting. Every podcast episode, every black women are masculine tweet, every passport bro video is another victory for a system that wants us divided. When love kills, the domestic violence epidemic claiming black women's lives. According to decades of FBI uniform crime reporting data and research from the Violence Policy Center, homicides are overwhelmingly intraracial, meaning people are most often killed by someone of their own race. The statistics are clear: when black women are murdered, approximately 89 to 93% of the time, the perpetrator is also black. This mirrors the pattern across all races. White women are killed by white men at similar rates, Asian women by Asian men, and so on. It's not a black problem, it's a proximity problem. We're most vulnerable to those closest to us, and in America's still segregated society, that usually means someone who looks like us. However, black women experience the highest rate of gun homicides across all races. When black men can't control us with words, when we don't submit to their demands, when we dare to leave, they reach for weapons. Young black women aged 18 to 34 are 5 times more likely to be shot and killed by an intimate partner than white women in the same age group. And before the Not All Black Men Brigade arrives, let's be clear, the Violence Policy Center's data shows that when Black women are murdered in single victim/single offender incidents, the perpetrator is overwhelmingly someone from their own community. But here's where it gets complex. While the perpetrators are predominantly Black men, this doesn't absolve society's role in creating the conditions where this violence thrives. When you combine systemic poverty that creates stress and desperation, lack of mental health resources in Black communities, hypermasculinity as a response to societal emasculation, easy access to firearms, underfunded domestic violence resources, police who don't take our reports seriously, you get a perfect storm where intimate partner violence becomes lethal at rates that shock the world. When protection orders can't protect. The 2024 data reveal another horrifying truth. In too many cases, victims had previously reported violence. They did everything right, filed reports, got restraining orders, asked for help. Their killings could have been prevented. But when society views Black women as inherently strong and capable of handling anything, our cries for help get minimized until we become statistics. The intersectional death trap. Here's where the intersection of race and gender becomes a death sentence. Black women face police who don't take our domestic violence reports seriously, the strong Black woman stereotype. Courts that don't prioritize our protection orders. Communities that pressure us to protect Black men even when they're killing us. Medical systems that don't document our injuries properly. Social services that are underfunded in our communities. The result? A perfect storm where Black women are simultaneously most at risk and least protected. The global shame. The 2024 UN report on femicide specifically highlighted how Black women in America face violence rates that shock even researchers studying global violence against women. We're not just leading in America, we're statistical outliers on the world stage. Other countries look at our numbers in disbelief. The same Black men who organized marches for police brutality victims are silent when the brutality comes from within. The same community that rallies against systemic racism ignores the systematic killing of Black women by intimate partners. Black women destroying Black women. But ladies, we're not innocent either. The way some of us police each other's appearance while ignoring how everyone else copies us? Revolutionary levels of self-hate. The violence Black women inflict on each other carries the particular sting of betrayal from those who should understand the struggle most intimately. This sabotage manifests everywhere, making white supremacists redundant. Look at how Black women managers are statistically harder on Black women employees, denying promotions, nitpicking performance, creating hostile environments that push talented Black women out of corporate spaces. The statistics are damning. Black women report experiencing more workplace aggression from other Black women than from any other demographic. The cruelest receipt? How we abandon each other in moments of vulnerability, Black women being the first to question assault survivors, the quickest to share revenge porn, the loudest voices saying, "She should have known better." Then there is colorism battlefield that runs both ways, darker-skinned women launching preemptive strikes, invalidating mixed women's Blackness and bullying light-skinned women for thinking they're better based on nothing but projection. While light-skinned women learn to shrink themselves, apologize for their existence, or lean into the privilege they're accused of having anyway. Meanwhile, Black women across the spectrum perpetuate white supremacy's greatest lie, that Black beauty is inferior. Watch them flood comment sections to announce that Black men prefer exotic women because they're more submissive or have real hair. They claim, Black women are jealous of white women, because we wear weave, as if jealousy, not centuries of programming, explains the phenomenon. They volunteer as witnesses for white supremacy's case, testifying that non-Black women are simply prettier, more feminine, more desirable, turning their internalized hatred into public testimony that damages every Black girl watching. The competitive scarcity mindset, fighting over the few spots allowed at tables we didn't build, turns potential allies into threats. Most devastating is how this sabotage masquerades as truth-telling, how keeping it real becomes code for keeping each other down, ensuring white supremacy never has to work overtime because Black women clock in daily to finish the job themselves. Most devastating is the generational aspect. Older black women who survived by shrinking now police younger ones for taking up space. When black women finally choose to date out, seeking love from men who might actually want them, the same sisters who spent years reminding them they're inferior to non-black women suddenly transform into the enforcement squad. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. These are the same women who post think pieces about why black men choose exotic women over us, who co-sign every degrading comparison, who explain in detail how we can't compete with loose curls and slim noses. But the moment you take their advice, the moment you stop chasing men they've confirmed don't want you, they become your biggest bullies. You hate yourself, they diagnose, as if believing their propaganda about your undesirability means self-hatred. They say, no decent white man would want you anyway, they all prefer white women like every other race of men do. The mathematics of this cruelty are staggering. First they convince you that you're losing a competition you never asked to enter, then they attack you for leaving the game. Hated for believing what they preach about your inferiority, hated for seeking love elsewhere, hated for existing while black and female. These women police romantic choices harder than any overseer, ensuring you remain available for rejection by men they've already confirmed don't want you. Challenging beauty standards, unmasking the double standards in hair and cosmetic trends. Black women spend $1.7 billion annually on hair care, 9 times more than other ethnic groups. We've turned the $2.5 billion black hair care industry into an empire. Yet some of us shame other black women for wearing wigs and weaves, claiming it shows we're jealous of white women. According to celebrity hairstylist Reese Walker, 90% of people you look at in Hollywood wear extensions. 90%. Yet somehow black women are the only ones catching heat for wearing wigs? Meanwhile, white women are getting BBLs at record rates, lip fillers are a $2.91 billion industry, and hair extensions are projected to hit $10 billion globally by 2026. In 2023 alone, 396,105 BBL procedures were performed globally, a 90.3% increase from 2015. The procedure has become so mainstream that it overtook breast augmentation in some markets. The demographics? While exact racial breakdowns are carefully guarded by the industry, plastic surgeons report that their BBL clientele has shifted dramatically toward non-black patients seeking the curves naturally found in black women. The lip filler industry hit $6.4 billion in 2022 and is projected to reach $11.61 billion by 2030. That's a 7.8% annual growth rate of people paying to plump their lips. North America dominates this market, with predominantly white demographics driving the surge. They're literally paying thousands to achieve features we're born with, yet we're the ones accused of wanting to be them? The 2024 plastic surgery statistics reveal the most telling trend yet. The fastest growing procedures aren't just any cosmetic enhancements, they're specifically procedures that mimic black features. Buttock augmentation, including implants and fat transfers, up 5.5% in surgical procedures. Lip augmentation, projected to nearly double in market value by 2030. High cheekbone implants and fillers, surging in popularity. Hip dips and body contouring, creating the hourglass figures common in black women. Even fox eye procedures that create almond-shaped eyes similar to many women of color. The most toxic trend poisoning our sisterhood is the pick-me phenomenon. According to research on tactical patriarchal femininity, these are black women who throw other black women under the bus to appear more desirable to men, particularly black men who openly prefer non-black women. These women will say things like, "I'm not like other black girls, I don't wear weave. Black women are too loud, that's why men date out. I understand why black men want peace with other races. Black women need to be more submissive like Asian/white women." The irony? They're performing for men who have already mentally checked out of dating black women. You can't pick me your way into being chosen by someone who sees your entire race as undesirable. But that doesn't stop them from trying and dragging the rest of us in the process. The swirling wars and jealousy narrative. The black women's dating landscape has split into warring factions, with some black women attacking others for dating interracially. YouTube channels like Black Women Are Finally Waging War with Black Swirlers showcase this internal battle, where Black women who date outside their race are labeled self-hating or trying to be white. But flip the script, and these same critics push the narrative that Black women are jealous of non-Black women. They'll say, "Y'all mad because white girls are taking your men. Black women hate seeing happy interracial couples. The jealousy is why y'all can't keep a man." So, which is it? Are we self-hating for dating out, or jealous when others do? The mental gymnastics would be impressive if they weren't so destructive. The ultimate betrayal, weaponizing stereotypes. The most damaging aspect is how some Black women regurgitate every racist stereotype to gain proximity to anti-Black, Black men. They become walking, talking confirmation bias for men who already view Black women as too independent, translation, won't accept disrespect. Too masculine, translation, won't shrink ourselves. Too difficult, translation, have standards. Too angry, translation, won't accept mistreatment quietly. These women position themselves as the exception. I'm feminine, I'm submissive, I'm not like those Black women. They fail to realize they're not earning respect, they're auditioning for the role of acceptable Negro in someone else's racist fantasy. The projection game. The Black women who scream loudest about others being jealous of white women are often projecting their own insecurities. They're the ones obsessively comparing themselves, monitoring interracial couples, and creating content about who's dating whom. We're not jealous of women getting lip fillers to look like us. We're not pressed about who's dating whom. We're tired of our own sisters being the loudest voices in our oppression. The path forward, radical self-love as revolution. The solution isn't complicated, but it requires something many of us aren't ready for: accountability. We need to call out internalized racism wherever we see it, even when it comes from people we respect. Stop comparing ourselves to communities that are literally trying to be us. Recognize that tearing each other down only serves white supremacy. Celebrate our diversity instead of policing it. The bottom line. The hard truth? Some of our biggest obstacles come from within our own community. When Black women parrot racist talking points, they become more effective than any external oppressor. A white supremacist saying Black women are undesirable is expected. A Black woman saying it? That cuts different. We need to recognize that tearing each other down won't elevate any of us. The men who require you to degrade other Black women to prove your worth will eventually degrade you too. The system that benefits from our division won't suddenly accept you because you're willing to be their spokesperson. When people wonder why we're so passionate about fighting stereotypes, show them these numbers. When they ask why representation matters, tell them about Dr. Curry Winchell almost dying despite her medical degree. When they question why we need to address bias, remind them of Kira Johnson's children growing up without their mother. These aren't just statistics. They're mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends who died not from medical complications but from medical racism. And until we acknowledge that Black women's pain is real, that our concerns are valid, that our lives matter as much as anyone else's, these preventable deaths will continue. We can't demand respect from others while disrespecting ourselves. We can't fight stereotypes externally while perpetuating them internally. And we definitely can't achieve collective liberation while some of us are invested in collective destruction. Because at the end of the day, if we don't protect us, who will? Certainly not the Dr. Jackies of the world who think our pain is performance. Certainly not the brothers chasing submission from women who call them slurs. And certainly not a system that profits from our self-hatred. Excellence isn't just about how we present ourselves to the world, it's about how we treat each other when the world isn't watching. Act accordingly. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the complex and often painful dynamics within our community. It's not an easy conversation, but it's a necessary one. We must confront these uncomfortable truths if we're to move forward with unity and strength. Remember, self-love and mutual respect are revolutionary acts. Let's hold each other accountable and uplift one another because our collective liberation depends on it. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions. Your support is invaluable in spreading awareness and sparking change. Until next time, take care, and let's continue to strive for excellence in how we treat ourselves and each other. Peace and love. What do you think? Are Black people our own worst enemy? Let me know in the comments section. Stay bougie. Follow and support me. All links in bio. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check description for more info. New episodes every day.